There are no flashing quest markers, no daily challenges, and no battle pass asking you to log in before you miss a reward. There isn't even a traditional race menu for you to navigate to your next race. Instead, you're dropped onto Tokyo's expressways with one simple goal: find someone faster than you, flash your headlights, and prove that you are the faster driver. On paper, that sounds almost too simple. Modern racing games promise massive open worlds, hundreds of events, thousands of collectibles, and enough content to keep you busy for hours, hundreds of hours, days, years. And actually, they're bigger than they've ever been. So why is a game built on a gameplay loop from over 20 years ago one of the most refreshing racing games I've played in a long time? The answer, I promise you, is not nostalgia, it's design. And today, I want to talk about why Tokyo Extreme Racer works. To understand why this game feels so different, we have to look back at where it came from. The original Tokyo Extreme Racer games weren't trying to recreate professional motorsports. They weren't about sanctioned races, championships, or becoming the next world famous driver. Instead, they sold you a fantasy. It's late at night, the city is alive, traffic is still flowing, and somewhere on these highways our drivers are looking for a challenge. You cruise the expressway until you spotted another racer. You flash your headlights, they accept the challenge, and just like that, the race begins. Win, earn money, upgrade your car, and go looking for someone even faster. That is the entire gameplay loop. Cruise, challenge, win, upgrade, and repeat. It sounds incredibly simple, and that's exactly why it works. Every mechanic in the game supports that single loop. Nothing feels disconnected, and nothing simply exists because every other modern racing game has it. Everything pushes you towards becoming a better street racer. Over the last 2 decades, racing games have changed dramatically. Maps become enormous, car lists grew into the hundreds. Customization became deeper, and live service mechanics became increasingly common. Many games now fill their worlds with collectibles, festivals, weekly events, seasonal rewards, battle passes, and the list goes on. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. None of those things are automatically bad. Some of my favorite racing games exactly do that. And they do it incredibly well. But somewhere along the way, many developers stopped trusting their core gameplay loop. Instead of asking, is the driving itself fun enough? What else can we add? More activities? More currencies? More unlockables? More notifications? More systems? The list goes on. Eventually, the experience becomes less about driving and more about managing a checklist. What will I do next? What's the next race I have to complete? Blah, 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 blah. Tokyo Extreme Racer takes the opposite approach. Instead of asking what it can add, it asks what it actually needs, and the answer is really surprisingly little. What's fascinating about the 2025 remake is that it doesn't try to reinvent the original formula. It doesn't chase modern trends, and it doesn't try to become another open world collectathon. Instead, it asks a much simpler question. What if we built the game we imagined 20 years ago? Today's hardware and technology finally allows the vision to exist. Tokyo's highways are more detailed than ever. The lighting transforms the city into a sea of reflections, and traffic feels alive. And the sense of speed is something that I never felt in the previous games. The atmosphere pulls you into a world in a way that the older games could only dream of, but also still the same way that they did 20 years ago. But what's most important is that none of those improvements replace the gameplay, they amplify it. The graphics aren't the feature, They're there to strengthen the fantasy. That's 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 the design philosophy we don't really see anymore. One of my favorite parts of Tokyo Extreme Racer is how much personality every rival has. You're not racing anonymous AI generated by the game, you're hunting specific drivers. Each one has a name, a nickname, the car that they drive, and a reputation. Some are known for being incredibly aggressive, while others become roadblocks. And you'll remember that exact race hours later. When one of these rivals beats you, you remember them. And when you finally build a faster car and learn the raceway and come to beat them, it feels personal. The game creates stories naturally, and there aren't really that many dramatic cutscenes telling you how the story's progressing. You just live in it. The gameplay tells the story, and that's something a lot of modern games, especially racing ones, struggle to accomplish. Another reason this game works so well is how it handles progression. Modern games often confuse progression with rewards. Every few minutes, you're handed another cosmetic, another notification, another achievement, another loot box, or another level up screen. Tokyo Extreme Racer rewards you differently. Your reward is realizing your car is genuinely faster than it was yesterday. Your reward is beating the driver who completely destroyed you 2 hours ago. Your reward is finally understanding how to weave through traffic without smashing in the back of some pedestrian car. Those victories belong to you, not because the game told you they mattered, but because you earned them. And that's meaningful progression. And it's incredibly satisfying. I think maybe the biggest lesson Tokyo Extreme Racer teaches you is that restraint isn't something that's forced, it's a feature. It doesn't interrupt you every few minutes, it doesn't overwhelm you with objectives. It doesn't constantly remind you about limited time events or daily bonuses. Instead, it trusts something surprisingly simple. The driving is fun. That confidence feels rare today in a video game. And sometimes the best design decision isn't adding another feature. Sometimes it's knowing when to stop adding features altogether. Going back to the nostalgia element, I don't think Tokyo Extreme Racer succeeds because people miss the early 2000s. Nostalgia might convince someone to try the game, but nostalgia doesn't keep people playing for hours. People stay because the foundation is timeless. Find a rival, race, improve your car, improve yourself, and do it again. Modern graphics make the loop more immersive, and modern hardware makes it more believable, but the reason it works today is exactly the same reason it worked over 20 years ago. Great gameplay loops don't become outdated, they simply wait for developers willing to trust them again. Tokyo Extreme Racer isn't trying to reinvent racing games. It isn't trying to be the biggest, the loudest, or the game with the longest feature list. Instead, it reminds us that great game design doesn't always need to evolve. Sometimes it just needs room to breathe, because in a world where so many games are trying to be everything, Tokyo Extreme Racer remembers exactly what it wants to be. And that is exactly why Tokyo Extreme Racer works.